Last, we end with a story about the plans to renovate Lincoln Park and some of the city's playing fields.
Plans for renovating Lincoln Park and its playing fields took a step forward on February 24th. Discussions have been going on for almost 3 years.
I know that people have been here for many of the previous meetings, but we are actually going to shape this park now.
The city hired Weston and Sampson for $325,000 to do the design. The firm has done other parks in Somerville, like North Street Veterans Park and Albion Park. Architect Sherry Ruane is a Somerville resident.
There's been a lot of thought already put into this process by everyone in this room and others that couldn't make it. So we respect and appreciate that and are looking to leverage what's already been discussed.
During the meeting, the architects ran through many different aspects of Lincoln Park and also asked the audience to vote on various questions.
Are you satisfied with the condition of the playing fields at Lincoln Park? Anyone else?
That answer was no surprise.
As we look at this field, and we know that this is a really contentious part of the park, it's a huge footprint as it relates to the overall park. It has a lot of use. And we want to make decisions that are in the best interest of the entire park.
The playing field at Lincoln is one of 11 fields that a study recently determined are being overused and poorly maintained. Last year, the city set up a task force to decide what to do about the problem. A top request from the committee was that the new recreation director oversee scheduling for the fields in order to prevent overuse. Another was for more and better maintenance. Alderman-at-Large Mary Jo Rossetti chaired the committee.
Now that the Rec Commission has been hired, we are anxious to hear. She was hired, I believe, in November, so here we are, February. As one alderman, it's my opinion, she's had some time now. We need to get back together and see what work she has suggested, what sort of combined meetings she's had with the DPW department, preparing for the spring and summer seasons coming fast and furious.
The committee also recommended that Somerville renovate many parks and gain management control of 2 state parks, Draw 7 and Foss.
The commission actually invited the mayor back to the commission's meeting one evening to hear from the mayor himself where he was as it stood with DCR and Draw 7. And he gave hope to the committee that he gave his word that he was having serious discussion with DCR.
But DCR Chief of Planning Joe Orphant said Foss Park is not being discussed.
There's no active discussion on that I'm aware of, but obviously we're always looking for creative and cooperative models for joint park management. We do that with other communities. We do that with Somerville, with Dilboy. So it's certainly something that you know, we're prepared to explore with the city. It's not something that's on the table right now.
And with only about $5,000 in its capital budget for Foss, the state can't afford to do any renovations there either.
Beyond ordinary maintenance right now and paying attention to that, we don't have any immediate development plans for Foss Park, but it's a park that definitely needs a conditions assessment. We need to better understand, we need to take a look at how we're permitting it, who's using it, get a sense of the intensity of the use, and try to develop a plan to address that.
The state and city are discussing renovations to Draw 7 Park, which is part of the Mystic River Park system.
So one of the things that we're going to be looking at with them is how we can get to perhaps explore artificial turf fields, if they make sense there, if there are ways to do that, what it's going to cost us. It's several $1 million. We need to get to that point. And we need to have a public discussion with a larger community about that in Somerville and from the neighboring communities that also use that.
Right now, Lincoln Park field is covered by snow, but in just a few months, kids will be out there playing on a field that's pretty beat up. Will the new design team recommend that field become artificial turf? And once the renovations start, where will the kids from Argenziano and all those soccer teams play while the field's out of commission? And what about the other playing fields in the city? We're going to stay on top of this complicated story. For Somerville Neighborhood News, I'm Jane Regan.
So Jane, you've been following this for some time now. What's next for Lincoln?
Well, the city and the design team say they're going to call another meeting in about 6 weeks, and they'll have 3 different versions of the new park, and folks are supposed to react to it. Construction could start next year, unfortunately not before. The renovation will cost several $1 million. Once it starts, that field will be out of commission.
What about Draw 7 Park? Will that get fixed up soon?
Oh yeah, that's the little park over behind Assembly Square. Well, they've got about $500,000 ready to spend on that park, and that will be used for design and to pay for the public meetings. DCR and City Hall hope that that kind of thing can start this summer or fall, but the park won't actually see any big changes.
And will the city be spending more money on maintaining the existing fields, as Alderman Rossetti's task force recommends?
Well, I recently asked officials about that, and they said that the city is going to consider upping the budget for maintenance and also for maybe fixing up Foss Park a little bit for fiscal year 2016, which starts on July 1st.
Wow, so it seems like this spring and summer, well, we're stuck with the same playing fields as last year.
Unfortunately, that's the situation. But the new director of recreation and her team hopefully will be able to improve scheduling so that the Lincoln Park field isn't used quite so much.
Jane Regan, thank you for that report. This is a top issue for teams and parents.